Being alone can be peaceful until it starts feeling lonely. Maybe you are the type that enjoy your own company, or maybe you don't. But psychologists say that certain thinking pattern can quietly make long-term loneliness more likely. And no, it is not judgment, it is just science. Research shows that social isolation and loneliness aren't just sad metaphors. They are to be considered as serious health issues. So what we are doing today is not just a mindset work. It is also a life work. Because a lot of people are heading down this loneliness path without realizing how dangerous it is. Do you know that according to a 2023 meta-analysis, isolation and loneliness carries a mortality risk that is comparable to smoking or even obesity? Some secret research are even pointing that ending up alone can make a person crazy and mad. That means loneliness can make you go bongos. What I'm trying to say is that loneliness is dangerous in a long run. And here are 5 psychological traits that show who might struggle to connect over time and end up alone. Number 1, people who believe being alone equals safety. You see, there are 2 types of people with 2 types of beliefs about being alone. The first set of people have positive belief. They see being alone as a time to sharpen their mind, as a time to connect with their inner self and ascend a higher purpose. Then there is the second set of people with negative belief. They believe that being alone protects them. They believe that the world and people are wicked and everybody wants to do evil things to them. So they'd rather remain alone because they believe it is a safe haven. But here is the thing. If you have a positive belief about being alone, you go into a state of solitude, a mode of self-discovery and growth. Think of it like a gold that goes into fire, into a transformation that then brings out the full potential, the full beauty in its highest state. It is wonderful. It's magnificent. It's good. Then comes the people with negative belief about being alone. They go into a state of isolation, a state of loneliness. It is sad and very depressing too. But here is the worst news. The line between solitude and isolation is so thin that 95% of people confuse the two, and therefore majority of persons cross that line and slides from solitude into isolation without realizing it. But this video will reveal that to you, and it might surprise you that you are already on the path of isolation and loneliness. But that is okay, because we are not here to shame it. We are here to shine light on it, because you can pivot. You can turn back around once you are fully aware of what is going on psychologically. And that leads us to number 2, the second psychological trait that show and reveal people who might end up alone. And that is people who wait for perfection. And you might tell yourself, I'm not one of those. Well, I'm sorry to break it to you. Unfortunately, you are. We all are. We just don't realize it because it is a default psychological thing. Meaning, it is a follow-come problem, because deep down we all crave perfection. You know, the perfect life, the perfect friends and relationships, the perfect job, the perfect home, the perfect this, the perfect that. Psychologists call this perfectionism, and this quietly limits relationship because life is messy. People are messy. Waiting for perfect condition can mean waiting forever. If you tell yourself the truth, you would observe that you only want to reach out when life is perfect, when you have got it all figured out. But the truth is, that is just your little brain craving for perfection. But the consequences is that you miss out on connection as you wait for the so-called perfect time. And over time, it turns into a habit that filters everybody away. Because the truth is, nobody is perfect. And that perfectly brings us to number 3. People who have lost the connection skill. Let me tell you this, just in case you don't know. Connection is a skill, and recent data study reveals that the percentage of this skill in people are globally dropping immensely. And actually think about it. Since you became an adult, and I really hope you are an adult here, but since you became an adult, out of all the whole functions and gathering that you have ever attended, how many real connections have you built? Now think of when you were a child, or when you were much more younger. You would discover that you were building genuine connections here and there. Even just as simple as walking down the street. Before you return home, you have made over 7 friends. So the question is, what happened? And the worst is that some people have cocooned so deep in their shell that they barely talk. They are shy, nervous, anxious, weird, creepy, and a whole lot more. You see, you may think, I'm fine, I chose to be alone, it is my decision. But the warning signs are subtle. And this takes us to number 4. When you value independence so much. Independence is good, but when you value it so much that you got married to it, impregnates it, and it gives birth to extreme self-reliance, and you say things like, I'm just a one-man soldier, I'll do everything by myself. But have you heard of the statement that says, one tree does not make a forest? And just for your information, one soldier cannot win a war. Talking about soldiers and war, which ultimately brings us to number 5. People who might end up alone often carries unshared stories. Research shows that lonely individuals process the world in idiosyncratic ways, meaning that they don't feel in sync with others, and this makes them believe that nobody can ever truly understand them. So they would never share how they are feeling. They would never talk about themselves or what they have been through. And just like a traumatized soldier with PTSD, everybody around them ends up drifting away because they can't let anyone in, and eventually they'll end up alone. So yeah, that's it. And now let me ask you, do you believe that being alone equals safety, or are you one of those that wait for perfection? Do you think you still possess the connection skill? Or wait, you probably love independence so much, huh? Well, you should marry it, but it can be dangerous. Now, one last question. Do you carry unshared stories? Drop your answers in the comment section. Which of these 5 traits do you recognize in yourself, and which one will you work on next? Remember, loneliness is not permanent. Connection is a skill. Patience is a practice. And most importantly, like the video, and I will see you in the next one.